Good evening and welcome to Kunsampayo Chuling. Thank you for joining for a teacher for teaching by Jetsunma Ahkon Lhamo. Tonight's teaching is part 2 of the teaching we showed on Sunday. The title is Practice Deeply, Vajrayana Style. This is part 2 of 2, so it's the second half, and you can go watch them together on YouTube if you will, or watch them backwards, or however you want to watch them. And anyway, here we go. We're glad you are here.
Our habit instead should be utilized, that same energy should be utilized not to maintain the appearance of separation and to constantly react and to constantly think, oh, do I want this or not? Does it support me or not? Is it my enemy or not? Is it my friend or not? Do I like it or not? Instead of that energy going to describe separation and ordinary perception, that energy instead is going to go to devotion. And when we think about, when we give rise to visualizing the Guru and we think of all that Guru Rinpoche represents, the devotion should be so strong that many times we're almost like choked, like maybe going to cry, like the heart quivers, and maybe tears come to our eyes. The ability to have devotion like that is really the same energy that we use to create our ordinary sentient being reactions, but it's transformed and it's utilized differently. Energy's energy. It only depends on how we focus it. So instead of having some kind of commitment to do a good practice or to be a good Buddhist or whatever it is that we think, or to make our mothers really mad at us because we are Buddhist, any of those things that we do, now we have to transform that and think differently. That energy is being used for something else. Now, one of the very first visualizations that we do in our practice is to give rise to the appearance of Guru Rinpoche in union with consort arising on a lotus on a lake. The lake, of course, represents the mind. The lotus, of course, represents our birth. And giving rise to the deity on a lotus is very different from taking birth as an ordinary sentient being. It's a very different thing. So the visualization is meant for us to develop some kind of view that is more correct and more profound than what we as ordinary sentient beings are accustomed to. We visualize Guru Rinpoche in the sky in front of us, and we visualize that many offerings come from Guru Rinpoche in union with consort, and they go to all the Buddhas in the 10 directions. And then the Buddhas in the 10 directions, having received these offerings, come and as all the qualities and conditions and energies and appearances of enlightenment they return to the visualization, and the visualization is potentized. So what is this thing that we've just done? So did we just like watch our spot, and then we have our little cartoon, and cartoon sends stuff out, and cartoon brings stuff back, and then now it's better? Is that the way we're practicing? Sometimes, yeah. Instead, what we need to do here is to move into a mental posture of confidence and knowing, certainty, based on what the Buddha has taught, which we know must be so much more accurate than anything we personally can cook up or see, because we are coming from the mind of ordinary perception. And when the Buddha teaches or gives his offering, his teachings, he is giving that from the very mind of enlightenment. So we know that if the Buddha teaches us that this is more correct than anything we with our own eyes might be able to see, being locked in duality the way we are. So when we visualize, again, there are the eyes, very stable, very calm, very relaxed. And then we visualize Guru Rinpoche in union with consort in the sky in front. Now we visualize many offerings being made to the Buddhas in the 10 directions. And now those offerings come back as many blessings, all the blessings consistent with enlightenment. When we practice like that, our confidence has to be like Vajra courage. With the same confidence that we step on a solid ground, because we know our feet are not going through it. We know that the foot and the ground are going to meet like that. We have confidence. With that same confidence, knowing where we're going to step next, we have to give rise to this visualization and act as if, maybe that's all we can do right now, act as if it were truly so. That the force of our commitment and our devotion is what gives rise to this miraculous activity. That's where you get to use desire, the same energies that we use for desire and grasping and even lust. Those same energies can be transformed into this Vajra courage, where you know that by the force of your devotion alone, by the force of your faith alone, assuming you're the only one that can carry the ball, and you should assume that, assuming that you are the one who can call forth this holy appearance by the strength of your love and determination to benefit sentient beings. That Vajra courage, you can almost feel the, there's a power that goes with that, and you feel potent when you do that. I know for me, when I really try to cook that one, and give rise to that certainty, I almost feel like I'm growing fangs, and suddenly I'm all like a wrathful deity, and I can do anything, cut any connection to suffering or whatever. And I always assume that I'm the only one praying. I always assume that it falls on me. I always assume that every one of you will cross over into enlightenment, and that I will hang back and watch every one of you make that crossing. Always assume that. You never assume that somebody's handling it. Because if you do, no one is. Not in your world. So, the potency that we feel, even in our, let me put it this way, even, have you noticed that when you're really going through a neurotic cycle, and we all go through neurotic cycles, don't we? When you're really going through a neurotic cycle, have you noticed how powerful that can be? Have you noticed how intoxicating that can be? How it can rip your head right off your body. I mean, it can just power your ship for a very long time. The intensity of that same even tendency to become so intoxicated by our own neuroses that we're just like nowhere, just wandering around in our own little dream. That same intensity, that energy, we don't use it the same way because this is not a neurotic thing that we're doing, but that we take that same energy, we extract it, and we utilize it as the force of commitment in our prayer and in our practice. Although we are told that most of our suffering, or all of our suffering, comes from desire and longing and wanting to get and wanting to have and wanting to keep, you know, all those things are the very cause of our suffering. This is what the Buddha has taught. But we want to take that very same energy and give rise to the holy appearance. Give rise to the holy intention, which is compassion and love. Give rise to the pure body, speech, and mind of Guru Rinpoche. Now that has to be possible because that's what we've been taught. So our job then is to take that same energy and extract it from all of our neuroses, extract it from all of our ordinary perceptions, extract it. Well, let's say if you want a new car, let's say you want a hot red convertible. So you want a new car, you want it so bad you can taste it. Now, if I ask you to pray like this, does that mean you're not going to get your new car? No. You can want your new car 5 days from now. But I'm suggesting that you take that very energy, even that energy, which sounds like silly almost. Take that very, just borrow. Take that very energy, pull it out of that, and have the force of your practice be based on that strength of energy. Many of us don't pray as deeply as we should or can because we're afraid. We're afraid that if we put all of our longing into that, we won't get the hot red convertible. And if we put all our commitment into giving rise to benefit and virtue for sentient beings, well, excuse me, but we may never get laid again. Oh, sorry, guys. Excuse me. Now, I'm making a joke, but these are the fears that we have. We are afraid that we're not going to be ourselves anymore. Well, yeah, but if you think about it, is that so bad? So in order to comfort ourselves so that we don't get all scared and wobbly and weird, what you're doing is you are temporarily taking that desire, just sucking it out of all those neurotic situations and all those things that you want and you gotta have, and oh my God, if I turn my back, everybody won't love me anymore. I have to keep controlling this situation. You know, all of that stuff. You take all of that energy, you pull it out of there just temporarily. Just stay where you are. That's what you say to phenomena, stay where you are. That's cool, you're fine. And then you just really use that longing, that devotion, that same energy, all of it, to call forth the Guru, to give rise to this enlightened appearance. By the very force of your compassion and love and your devotion, because that's how you're expressing that energy now. Compassion, love, and devotion. By that very force, Guru Rinpoche cannot help but be present. Likewise, your own Buddha nature cannot help but be present. Because the Guru is, in essence, the very face of enlightenment. And so when we give rise to this holy face, it is not separate from our own true face. And all that we're doing is taking all that neurotic conditioning and all that whatever and grasping and neediness and craziness and neuroticness and controllingness and manipulativeness and, oh, let me think of all the other words. You're just extracting the energy out of it in its purest sense. And by the force of your practice, it is accomplished. Many of us are afraid to really give ourselves over to this longing for the appearance of that holy face. We are nervous, really, because we're so neurotic. I mean, really, we are. We're just nervous that if we give rise to Guru Rinpoche, he might actually show up, and then what would he do? We'd be so nervous. So we kind of pray in such a way that we're safe. I mean, really, if he showed up with his robes and his throne and everything, we'd probably all drop dead from shock. And that's how we think. That's how we think. So we don't pray the way we should pray. We're afraid to call out to the Guru from the depth of our heart, till tears well up in one's eyes. We are afraid to focus all of our longing toward this holy appearance because we don't know what's going to happen. So, what I'm suggesting is that here there is nothing to feel that way about. There is nothing, these neurotic scenarios that I'm describing, this is what we wander around in, but there's no reason for any of this. The appearance of Guru Rinpoche, an enlightened body, speech, and mind, the appearance of this holy intention is not separate from that which you are. It's not something new or different that you've never seen before. It is your nature. And one of the tricks that you as an ordinary sentient being could use is we take this energy and we just borrow it for 4 or 5 days. That's all. You can put it back later if you want. We're just going to borrow it, and we're going to focus, really and truly focus. When we practice the 7-line prayer and practice the shower of blessings, we have to think that, and here's a traditional visualization that I think is very potent. We have to think that we are hanging over the abyss by one thread, and that thread is connected to the Guru, to Guru Padmasambhava. And if we let go, we will fall. We don't know what it's like down there. We might hurt ourselves. But there is if you really were hanging by one rope, you would be so focused. I mean, think about it. Rope would be it. You would be so focused. The force of your mind would be like laser sharp. More focused than you've ever been. Because your life depends on it. Well, in many ways, that is the truth, because when we think about our prayers our prayers and practices concerning Guru Rinpoche, we are relying on Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, to protect us from wandering endlessly in samsara. We are depending on that enlightened appearance. Without that enlightened appearance of Buddha nature in the world, no hope, nothing. So that image is really true. In a sense, we are hanging over the abyss by one thread or one rope. And now we should think that that rope represents our connection with Guru Rinpoche. And because we are here and hearing these teachings, we must have some connection with Guru Rinpoche, or we wouldn't be able to hear his name. We wouldn't be able to hear these teachings. So there is something there that is our treasure. So let's say that rope is the connection with Guru Rinpoche. Now we look down, not only is the abyss down there, but all sentient beings are hanging on us. And we should think of ourselves that we have this connection. I mean, we have this connection with our teacher, we have this connection with our lineage, we have this connection by virtue of all of that with Guru Rinpoche. And most sentient beings have no connection with that kind of holy appearance. Or if they do have that connection, they don't have the contributing cause and conditions to make that happen. So you have to think that you are the one. You are the one that can accomplish this. Only you. Not only are you hanging above the abyss by just one rope, which is attached to Guru Rinpoche, but all sentient beings are also depending on you. If anybody's going to keep from falling, it's all on you. Now, some of us we have many different personalities. Some of us say, well, yeah, okay, all right, I got that. Let's do it. And then some of you might say, it all depends on me. Oh, no. Oh, the pressure. So some of us are kind of like that. Just take that neurotic energy. Don't make any judgment about it. Don't flip out about it. Don't get weird on me. Take that neurotic energy and just extract it and use it as the force of your practice. You can be neurotic Thursday. Okay? You must wait till Thursday. If you want to take that energy away from the connection with Guru Rinpoche and put it back into your neuroses, be my guest. Hopefully you won't want to by Thursday. Hopefully you will have gotten something. I know that there are many spiritual groups around the country that are aware of this solar eclipse and astrological phenomena that will be praying during this time. I know that there are some people that they get together and maybe they just have some kind of group meditation, or in Sedona they sit on rocks and drum and stuff like that. It's just, everybody's got their own way of doing things. But you have to think, I have this connection. Only me. I have this lineage of pure Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, lineage of pure practitioners who have given me these teachings, who have the capacity to ripen and mature my mind. And definitely, through the force of my longing, I can give rise to this holy appearance of Guru Rinpoche in union with consort, same as my own teacher, same as my own mind. And through the force of my longing, through that strong energy, I have confidence that I can bring forth this miraculous appearance into the world. And of course, when we consider like that, and we pray that deeply and with that much courage and commitment, everything is changed. Everything is changed. I've seen it work time and time again. When you knew, my personal experience has been that when I've known I'm the only one that could help this or that person, this or that situation, when I knew that it was really on me, really on me, then my experience has been that I've been able to focus in such a way, and I have actually seen amazing, miraculous results. And I've seen it happen to other people as well, so it's not because of me. It's because of the practice. I have seen it happen to others as well, where they would simply move into a posture of Vajra courage and confidence and accomplish their practice, because if they didn't, some harm would come to them or some harm would come to someone else. I've seen it happen with my own eyes. And so I know the possibility. And when a group of us get together, like-minded, with this pure intention and this Vajra courage, there is no limit to what can be accomplished. I not only pray, I believe in prayer. I know that this practice works. I have seen this very practice that we're going to do these 4 days save lives. I have seen people that would have died or would have been completely incapacitated saved by this commitment of like-minded people getting together and praying with that kind of Vajra courage. I not only pray, but I truly believe in it. There are so many experiences that I could recount to you that are just, if you could look at them with unjaded eyes, with eyes that are different from the ordinary ways in which we were trained, you could see for certain that there is more than ordinary appearance. Many of us feel helpless in our lives, helpless to change, helpless to be physically well, helpless to be comfortable, just helpless. And it is that very feeling of helplessness that causes us to suffer. That very assumption, that very determination that what we have here is helplessness, that increases our suffering. Now, if we could take even that, the force of the belief in that helplessness, you can park your helplessness here till Thursday. I told you that. And simply use it in your practice as Vajra courage. Energy is energy. You would have a different experience than you have ever had in your life. However you are accustomed to praying or practicing, let's do it a little differently this time. Let's apply ourselves more than we ever have. I personally think that a lot depends on us, and it does fall on us. Don't kid yourself. It does fall on us. We should think that we are in the mandala of Guru Rinpoche in union with consort. We are in that blissful mandala of enlightenment, the enlightened body, speech, and mind. That this is true, and it is true. We have this connection. We have this jewel. And that also is true. This connection is real. We are here. We should think that this spiritual ace up our sleeves will cause us to go into strong and determined and to practice very energetically. People have the idea that when they meditate, they're supposed to be kind of, up there somewhere, kind of cerebral, or, sometimes I watch people practice and they're trying very hard to look like those Buddha statues, the ones you see on the lawns. But that's not how you practice, is it? No, we're not the goal is not to look like a Buddha statue on the lawn. Instead, why is it that we are so afraid to think about the plight of sentient beings and how their only hope perhaps is their connection with us? Why don't we allow ourselves to feel that compassion? What's wrong with longing until tears appear to liberate all beings? This is the very song of the Buddhas. This is the nectar from the mouth of the Guru, that longing. And when we call on Guru Rinpoche and give rise to the objects of refuge, what's wrong with that emotion being so powerful that we feel that our hearts will burst right out of our chest? What's wrong if it brings us to even crying, just crying out loud? What's wrong with that? We're so afraid we might feel something. So instead, we take all of our emotional energy and we put it into these wonderful and complicated neurotic scenarios in which nothing that we feel has any good purpose other than to perpetuate samsaric existence. Why not simply extract that power and utilize it for the next 4 days? You could change your life by Thursday. You could change the world by Thursday. And if you think you can't, and if you think this is not possible, pull the energy out of that feeling of cynicism and focus. Focus on your practice. Give rise to this enlightened intention. Guru Rinpoche taught both Mandarava and Yeshe Tsogyal. He said, when I am gone from you, if you need me to be near you, simply go out into the woods and call and call and call to me. Cry to me for the sake of sentient beings. Sing to me. In other words, give yourself up to that. And I will definitely be there with you. These teachings are meant for our ears as well. The very force of all of our desire and feeling, purified, transformed, and focused through the correct view of giving rise to this enlightened body, speech, and mind. This is a force that can change the world. So I'm asking you not to dull out during your practice to the best of your ability. I'm asking you not to just practice by rote. We're not talking about, it is less important how many 7-line prayers you do than the quality of how you do them. So to repeat the 7-line prayer and thinking I'm doing good because I'm going fast may not be your best bet. Instead, you should think, I am certain of this holy appearance. I feel it. I am certain of it. The force of my love has called him to me. The force of my love has given rise to this enlightened body, speech, and mind. That very same energy that I use for so many other things. And if you really do that, you will feel the presence of Guru Rinpoche. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. He, like a loving mother, cannot resist the cry of his child. He cannot resist you. If you call to him with love and fervent regard, because you have seen the suffering of sentient beings, because you recognize dangling over the abyss, and because you know it falls on you because you have that connection, and with all that love, you cry out to this miraculous appearance, you will give rise to this miraculous appearance. The Guru will be present in your mind as you. There's no doubt. Because he promised. Personally, I rely on that promise every day of my life. It is the potency of my life. My life would have no strength, direction, no courage, no depth, no joy, no potency, nothing. It would just be going to the supermarket and cooking dinner at 6:30 every night and, just stuff. If I weren't counting on the very words that he taught when he said, when you call to me with devotion, I will be there with you. Even I have made the mistake of thinking that I was alone from time to time. But I know that that's not true. And you should rely on that for your strength as well. If you call out to him with the force of your love, the energy that you put into ordinary things, ordinarily, really give rise to that longing and let yourself feel for once. The Guru will be present in your mind and in the world. There is no doubt. So, with that information given to you, I hope that you'll think about it, and I hope that when 2 o'clock comes around and we actually start our practice, you will feel comfortable, confident, ready to contribute, focused, certain of what the stakes are, certain of what's going on here. You're not just haphazardly sitting in a room doing something. You really got it. Please listen to what I am telling you now and understand that you are needed here. Your love, your commitment, your courage are needed here. Because if not for the holy appearance, there would never be an end to suffering. And we can't let that happen. So that's all I'm going to say for now. For the duration of the retreat, the focus is going to be on practice. And what I'll try to do is, if I see that we're becoming unfocused or something like that, I might stop and maybe teach for 15 minutes. Or it'll be very fluid, or I may say, well, the next session will be a teaching session. I'm going to try to go by feel, if you will, So there's no real way to plan to be here for a teaching. I feel like I have to respond to what's happening here. And I want to respond to you. I want to be able to help out where it's necessary and kind of help refocus where it's necessary and maybe correct some mistakes where it's necessary. Or perhaps discuss some important issue that has come up, whatever. But the main accomplishment here has to be our practice. This Grand Cross configuration that's happening, this is kind of a by the way, not really part of the body of the teaching. You have to understand will affect each person, but will affect each person differently according to how your, let's say, astrological chart is laid out. Really, what that means is according to where you are in the time and space grid. But I will tell you that that particular configuration has been known to happen at the same time that the wars have begun, that there have been earth changes, that there have been really radical, visible, large-scale events. So this is a very powerful thing that's happening, but not more powerful than what we're doing. Never more powerful than the appearance of enlightened mind, and far from as powerful as compassion. Bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, the mind of compassion, this is the most important and most powerful energy that there is. So we should focus and do our best having confidence. And that's really what I wanted to say today. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and if you've been watching the news or reading the news for the last few months, while that aspect has been coming into place, there has been a lot going on, from the Balkan War to different, and even if you looked around at people in your life, you may have noticed that things have happened to people lately. Have you noticed that? Things have happened to people lately. And, sometimes really difficult things. So these are the kind of energies that abound. And we are here to take all energy that is focused in samsara and focus it differently.
Thank you all very much for joining today and for listening. If you missed part one is available on YouTube, and this one will be as well. So not to worry, you can catch up on them together. If you're interested in joining at KPC, we always love having people come join us. Our schedule is on the calendar, and the calendar is on tara.org. So you can just scroll down to the front page of tara.org, and at the bottom you'll find a link to the calendar. And you'll find out that we have teachings by Jetsunma, these recorded teachings on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. And now we also have teachings by Khenpo Tenzin Karzai, which are in person or on think it's YouTube. Anyway, it's on Zoom for sure. And I have to just double check. And so, but check on the calendar and it will tell you all of these things. Basically, it's every other Saturday evening at 7 is the public teaching. It's interspersed with teachings directly to the ordained, and then a Q&A on the fourth Wednesday of the month at 7:30. So, check it out and sign up and join with us. Great fun. Also meditations on the weekends, Medicine Buddha every night on Facebook Live, and soak offerings every day. So check the calendar and you come join, and we will be happy to have you. So thank you again, and we will see you on Sunday.